There were 249 new insider trades, and most of them are totally useless, but a handful will be high signal and can help us outperform. Let's take a look. It was actually another pretty bullish day here. As you can see, the number of trades starting to pick up again. Today was actually one of our biggest days with almost 250 trades coming in. You can see we've been on a pretty good tear here with only one day in the last week and a half or so trading where the percent of unscheduled insider buys was below about 33%, which is our median. All the other days have been above it, and we've been above 40% for 3 days in a row now. So pretty bullish setup there. As you can see, you'll remember last month was one of our more bullish months in almost 2 years. Outside of the tariff dip, the month of October was the most bullish month over the last 2 years. November off to an even more bullish start, but obviously still very early into November, so we'll see how that goes. As you can see, the insider sentiment continues creeping up. We've been above the bullish mark for, the last 6 months or so, or well, really since March, so the last 8 or 9 months or so. But then we had peaked up there around the June timeframe. We had peaked, and then we've started to come down since. However, things started to turn around a little bit in October, and we've remained bullish this whole time, but are getting slightly more bullish over the last month or so. Taking a look quickly at the companies with the most bullish insider and bearish insider trading over the last 3 months, the only real changes here are that another insider purchase at Matador moves them up into a tie for first place here. And then on the sell side, I don't think there was really much new insider selling. It looks like UMBF had another sale, so maybe we'll go see what that was, and that adds them to the list here, even though they did actually have a couple purchasers. The only company on the list that both had buyers and sellers, but they must have had another sale come in and bump them up the list. Or I guess it could have been a buy come in actually and bump them down the list. I guess we'll start with that just to get that out of the way and see what was going on here at UMBF. Any other ones here? Doesn't look like it. Nope. And nothing really new here. So not too many changes there at the top of that list. Let's go take a look here. It looks like a couple purchases actually, maybe dividend purchases. Nope. So these are just open market purchases. So actually those 2 purchases that we saw came in. So it actually would have knocked UMB Financial Corp down the list a little bit, which does align a little better. I forgot again to add the industry list, but I'll do that. But the Financial Corp, the financials industry and banks in particular are currently the most bullish industry for insider trading. And so it is not, it's kind of surprising that UMB was up on the top sales list, and it is not surprising now to see a couple of insiders coming in and buying the stock. If we see here, it looks like, so in these people that were selling back in August did kind of nail their selling. The stock has fallen from 120 down to the low hundreds, so, 20%, not quite, probably 12 to 15% or so dip there since that selling, and now we're starting to see maybe a little bit of purchasing going on, though there was actually another insider sale as well. So some kind of mixed signals here. I don't know how high of signal really any of those are going to be. But now let's flip back over and take a look at the insider purchases. We'll make this trade a purchase type, and then we will sort by transaction value. Starting at the top here, MNRO Corp, we've got Carl Icahn taking a 9% or buying $9 million of the stock. He actually, I believe, now has a much larger stake overall, and he owns 15% of the company now, as it says from CNBC here. He doesn't actually have a good track record, all that good of a track record on from his publicly, from his Form 4 filings, which he only has to file if he's a 10% owner or a director at the company. So all of his hedge fund trades, right, those are going to be on a different filing on 13F, so that's not really what we're looking at here. But if we take a look, was buying at 15.19, filed on behalf of Carl Icahn, 100% owned. So all of this is just kind of notes about all of his different entities to buy stocks. So this is a pretty normal one. 15.19. Take a look at what the price is now. So another one of those situations where, again, as we always say, good work if you can get it and you can buy the stock at, a 20% discount or 15% discount, whatever that is. We unfortunately do not get to also buy the stock at a 15-20% discount. So 10% owner buying the stock, he's buying it quite a bit lower. I wonder actually when did he just made the transaction. So this was pretty clearly, he must have been able to do this unless the stock was down there. Well, so this, I guess it looks like the stock either went up because of his involvement, which is very possible, or maybe just he timed it pretty well. So, he made the purchase on November 4th and the stock was around $15, and then the very next day it was up to 18 or 17.50. So, a little bit of a pop there, whether it was from the news of him buying the stock or he just kind of got fortunate with the timing, I'm not really sure. But taking a look historically at his insider trades, he's been on a little bit of a tear here actually through 2025, all the way down really to till June 2024, he has kind of nailed almost every single purchase, as you can see. So he's on quite a bit of a heater here and a pretty high signal, actually, even though historically, as we look, his long-term returns are pretty good, which does line up with, Carl Icahn, a long-term holder. He's not flipping in and out of stock. So his 1 and 2 year returns, they get better and better as more time goes on. His shorter term, 3 month, 1 month, 1 week, 6 month even, he doesn't tend to time things pretty well. Let's go just take a look quickly at MNRO. We can see if we can find anything there. So it looks like it's coming back down a little bit. So kind of an interesting place to get to try to take a look at it, right? It's jumped up above, it gapped up above here. Again, probably on news that he was taking a position would be my guess. But it's gapped up above all of the moving averages, and then now it's come back down and it's kind of fighting with the 50-day right now. So this would be a pretty good one just to pay attention to and just see, as long as it holds up above this 50-day over the next couple of days, then technically speaking, from a technical standpoint, nice positive momentum, down 40% in the last year. So you get a nice little setup of you're buying a dip, you're buying the stock down 40%, but it's actually in a near-term upswing and has kind of crossed above the moving averages. Plus, of course, you get a piggyback along with Carl Icahn, which is, you'd make a lot of money if you had been able to do that over a long period of time. Looks like over the last 5 years too, we're trading at a relatively low EV/EBITDA. What industry are we in? Specialty retail might actually trade on a PE. I'd have to double check, which we are not quite as low clearly on a PE ratio. If we go back a little further, looks like we're kind of up low on the EV/EBITDA multiple, kind of average on the PE multiple. So take your pick, I guess. It kind of depends on which one you'd want to use here. I'd have to go double check to see what that industry typically uses. Obviously very low on an EV sales. I'd probably guesstimate maybe we're looking at a slightly inexpensive stock here. The PE ratio throwing it off a little bit, but I don't know, maybe earnings were just depressed for a second for some reason or something along those lines. Could be something worth looking at. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I think overall, pretty interesting insider trade. Carl Icahn, obviously a legend. He's been on a heater. We've got the stock kind of dangling above the 50-day here, or it's playing with it at least. We'll see if it's able to stay above it for a few days, and if so, that'd be a pretty good sign from a technical standpoint. And then, of course, the stock trading potentially at a potentially trading slightly undervalued, which would be another positive. Cohen & Steers, this is a company we've seen for a while. If I recall correctly, I don't think this guy has the best track record, nor is this a very interesting company, but let's take a quick look. The exec chairman buying a bunch of the stock here represents the weighted average price. These are all telling you just represents the average price. Shares owned, who owns the shares, who owns the shares, who owns the shares, and who owns the shares. So overall, a pretty good, nothing to worry about there, just a normal insider purchase. Got him buying the stock. He also bought the stock right back here. This one is a larger purchase at $6.9 million. He's the only one that's bought the stock. Somebody nailed their selling up here. John, how do you pronounce that? Shea, funny last name, president and CIO, sold the stock. Well, lots and lots of selling. We're getting the first insider buying after 2 years. That's certainly a reversal of what's been going on. So that is interesting. Also, the first 2 insider buys by the exec chairman here, who must have been the founder or the son of the founder or something like that, because obviously Cohen & Steers. This, it looks like they have a handful of different public companies, or at least had, infrastructure, a REIT company, and then whatever this one is, which is probably a REIT or some sort of investment company, probably an investment company. So buying the stock for the first 2 times, certainly notable. This guy's track record, though, just not good is going to be the problem here, which I guess he's never bought the stock before. So his selling track record, not particularly good. His buying track record, we simply don't know because we haven't seen him buying the stock before. Let's go take a look. It's at least a notable signal when you've got him flipping from only having previously sold stock to buying the stock for the first time ever, and buying the stock when it's down 30% in the last year. He's obviously the executive chairman. His name's on the company. He knows it quite well. Earnings must have been okay, as I don't see anything crazy. When was this? October 16th. They actually had a pretty nice bump there on earnings. That was actually a very nicely timed, right? This came in. Oh no, this was after earnings as well. Never mind. So he did buy just a small dip after earnings, but then buying again right now, or the stock had popped up a little bit and then came down a little bit, and he happened to time that sale right in this little bubble here, and then in this little divot here, and then is buying again. Stock, another one where we're kind of starting to, we look at the valuation real quick here. This is a capital markets, so I actually don't know exactly what we'd use here. I'd have to go take a look in terms of valuation, because I don't know exactly what they're doing, but kind of regardless of which one you're going to look at, it looks like it's probably trading below its 5-year median. If we come up and look at the price action here, you can see popped up above. It looks like we are now probably hanging out above both the 50-day and the 20-day. If we zoom out a little bit more here, you can see that it kind of nicely sticks above the 50-day probably. So as long another one, insider buying the dip, no track record for this guy, so it's going to be a lower signal insider buy than like Carl Icahn, obviously, but popping up above the 50-day, obviously this is where you get hammered, and it's just a not fun time when you have the stock just consistently jumping up and down, above and below your moving averages that you're trying to use to get into a position. But not an industry that I really like. But if it does stay above the 50-day here, you'd have some more positive momentum. It might be worth taking a shot. Let's just go see what exactly they do. Publicly owned asset management company. Do they probably pay a dividend then? 3.6% dividend. So then this one would probably trade more on like some sort of dividend multiple that I don't really have set up. Not an industry I know super well. For me, this is going to be a skip just because I just don't know the asset management industry all that well. It's not one that I'm particularly interested in. But solely from the insider trading setup, you have a reversal from selling to buying. You've got slightly positive technicals going on here, and maybe is trading at a slightly below average valuation, which could be an interesting setup, but simply not for me. Let's go. I'm going to skip through some of these. Let's just go take a look at some of the ones that are more interesting. Cheniere Energy, obviously a very popular company, insider buying. This insider has kind of up and down returns, so let's go take a look at the company first. Just telling you the average price, perfect, nothing to worry about there. If we come and take a look here, you can see that at the company itself in the last 2 years, another situation where we've got the first insider buy in over 2 years. Some insiders time they're selling fairly well up here at the top. This stock's not down nearly as much as some of those other ones, so it might actually have, let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it has dipped down below all of the moving averages here. Earnings fell after earnings. This is like a very clearly this is one of those ones where I would be very wary of trying to take a stab too early just looking at this, because the stock's just going down. I mean, pretty much down in a straight line for the last month or so. This is one of those ones where I'm like, I'm not even going to take a stab. I'm not even going to look any closer until this thing gets above some of these moving averages. If we take a look here, I'd probably just use the 50-day again on this one and wait for it to get above there before I even take a look. We can take a look quickly at the valuations here. Trading about average, so it doesn't look like it's actually particularly cheap, so that's another kind of point against it. But in terms of the purchases, 100% increase for the director, I believe. For the director here is notable. First ever purchase for this director, $1 million, obviously sizable. Looks like it's his largest purchase ever, not his largest trade ever, but his largest purchase ever. Previous purchases have gone kind of hit or miss here, right? 30% win, 50% loss, 100% win. This one looks like it's, as of right now, it actually popped up quite a bit at Clear Channel. So he timed it poorly, I guess, in the short term is what I'm trying to say here, but a pretty massive turnaround. I'm actually kind of interested in what this stock chart would look like. Overall, pretty good returns for this guy over on just the buys. Remember, the buys start right here. Only one losing long-term buy so far, as this one has now flipped positive for us. Pretty good overall returns on the longer term, 15% 6 month, 12% 1 year. I mean, not the greatest returns in the world, but they're fine. So largest purchase ever, big sizable 100% holding increase. First time buying. The stock is down, quite a bit. What was it down? Oh, it's actually flat in the last year, but down 12%, 11% the last month. Not super cheap. I don't know. This one kind of fits like right in the middle for me in terms of it's semi-interesting, but a little bit of a mediocre purchase. And I certainly have no interest until it gets above the 50-day. I wouldn't even take a look at it. So go to ceowatcher.com and sign up. You can get full access to the website. You can get the daily email. You can join the Discord with real-time trade notice, all that fun stuff. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.